Good afternoon, I'm Deacon Jay, and today is Sunday. It is October 3rd, and today, both the first reading and the Gospel are about marriage. In fact, the Bible begins with the marriage of Adam and Eve in Genesis, highlights Jesus' first miracle at the marriage feast of Cana, and it ends with the marriage of the Lamb in the book of Revelation. Clearly, men and women were created for marriage, and God has a role in making our marriages successful. Pope St. John Paul II said, "As the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world in which we live." The author of Genesis knew about human loneliness and longing. The author expressed these very human feelings in the story of Adam. Alone in his garden with every animal of the field and every bird of the air. And despite their loveliness, no part of creation could satisfy Adam's loneliness, nor take away his longing for a companion. For Adam, alone in his garden, all the beauty of creation didn't matter. But once given a suitable partner, a loving companion, Adam's loneliness was absorbed in loving that other person. Someone from his own flesh, someone so close to him they were like one flesh. God made them to complement one another, male and female, in his image. Therefore a man clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. The words from Genesis must have been on Jesus' mind when he responded to the questions of the Pharisees that's in Mark chapter 10, and later those of his own disciples about divorce. He says, "The two shall become one flesh," and "What God has joined together, let no one separate." We can't fault the disciples for being confused by this statement, for we're still confused about it today. The statistics on marriage and divorce are the source of our confusion. In most parts of the country, the divorce rate hovers around 50%. What accounts then for the dichotomy between Jesus' words on the one hand and the facts on the ground? Why are all married couples not one flesh? The answer appears in Genesis chapter 3. It is the story of the fall, when a man and woman become separated from God, from creation, and from each other. They fall for the lie of the snake, that they can be like God by eating the forbidden fruit. The snake tried to convince them that they could be like God, but in fact they already were like God because they were made in his image. Through the sin of Adam and Eve, our ancestors lost unity with God and all creation. From then on, a return to being one flesh would require the lifelong efforts of both partners and the grace of God. Those of us that have heard God's call to the married life must make our way back to this one flesh union, one flesh relationship, by reversing the path that Adam and Eve took. We must transcend ourselves. We must choose to be submissive to God, to his will for us, not try to play God as Adam and Eve did. The vocation of marriage, like all vocations, is a call to be self-sacrificing and self-giving. When that commitment to self-transcendence is expressed in vows before a priest or a deacon, we call it the sacrament of marriage. These vows, strengthened by the grace of the sacrament, make self-transcendence possible. When consent is given and vows expressed, the married couple starts out on the long path toward eternal life together. But something more happens as they walk the path of self-transcendence. Over a lifetime, the married couple should continue to strive for unity with each other and with God. The fruit of marriage is found not only in children, but in a renewed relationship with God. If the vows are broken, the journey to God is also disrupted. Jesus' Church, our Catholic Church, has given us the key to successful marriages in its teachings that our one flesh union is meant to be procreative. These teachings about natural family planning encourage us to remain open to life by deciding that we won't play God with our one-flesh unions, but will open ourselves up to God's will for us. Those who follow these wise teachings have a divorce rate under 4%, far lower than the 50% rate typically we see in our society today. Clearly, Jesus' church has something to teach all of us about sex and marriage. I pray that all of us can maintain a close relationship with God and with our spouse. We all know how difficult this can be. But our marriages are meant to be the closest relationship on earth to our eventual relationship with God in heaven. Our first duty in marriage is to lead our spouse to heaven. I'll close with a quote about marriage from Pope Emeritus Benedict. Whenever two people give themselves to each other and between them give life to children, this touches the holiness, the mystery of human existence, which goes beyond the realm of what I can control and dispose of. I simply do not belong to myself alone. There is a divine mystery within each and every person. That is why the association of husband and wife is regarded within the religious realm, within the sphere of the sacred, of being answerable before God. Being answerable before God is a necessity. Human life is not an experiment. A marriage is not a commercial contract, but a surrender of oneself to another person. Only in the form of love that is entire and unreserved is the self-giving of one person to another commensurate with the existence of man. These are difficult readings today that talk about divorce and about the beginning of life in Genesis. But they're so important to us today, from where we find ourselves today, because we're so confused about sex and marriage. So I encourage you to take a look at those readings from Genesis chapter 2, verses 18 to 24, Mark chapter 10, verses 2 to 12, to get some insight as to how God is looking for in sex and marriage. God bless and have a great day.